Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 26 of Be With Me. We're finishing chapter 7 of the book of Second Corinthians. And he's asking really important questions, which is, who will lead me? And how will I be led? And what kind of person will I allow to lead me? And what is my relationship between a follower and a leader in the Church of God today? Basically, will I be tended, and will I be tended by what kind of a shepherd? Let me read. This is from 2 Corinthians chapter 7, and I'm going to start in verse 12. So although I wrote to you, this is the intermediate letter we don't have. So although I wrote to you, it was not for the sake of the one who did the wrong, nor for the sake of the one who suffered the wrong, but in order that your earnestness for us might be revealed to you in the sight of God. Therefore, we are comforted. And besides our own comfort, we rejoice still more at the joy of Titus, because his spirit has been refreshed by you all. For whatever boasts I made to him about you, I was not put to shame, but just as everything we said to you was true, so also our boasting before Titus was true. And his affection for you is even greater, as he remembers the obedience of you all, how you received him with fear and trembling. I rejoice because I have perfect confidence in you. So verse 12 tells us that everything we do is in the sight of God. So there's this situation between someone who wrongs somebody and the person that is wronged. And then there's everybody else. And that's actually the purpose of his letter, was not specifically to address the wrongee and the wronger, but to everybody else's response. So he says, although I wrote to you, it wasn't for the sake of the one who did the wrong, nor for the sake of the one who suffered the wrong, but in order that your earnestness for us might be revealed in the sight of God. So it's the reason I wrote is not because of the particular situation. It's everybody's response to the situation and what it revealed about how your relationship is with your leaders in the sight of God. And the fascinating thing about this is it's a theme of Paul's all the way through 2 Corinthians, that everything we do is in the sight of God. The leaders, he says, we commend ourselves to everyone conscious in the sight of God. So Paul is aware that his actions and the actions of Titus and the other spiritual leaders are being done in the sight of God. And he describes himself not as a peddler of God's word, but as a man of sincerity, as a man commissioned by God in the sight of God. So our leadership is done in the sight of God, and your tending, your followership, the way you follow is also being done in the sight of God. So your earnestness is going to be revealed in this situation. And the fascinating thing is that, yes, the job of the leaders and the elders and the overseers and the shepherds and the teachers is to do their job sincerely and as commissioned people. Paul makes that point, and he says that we're doing that. And then he kind of turns the lens away from himself and says, well, how are you guys doing? Because it's also the job of everyone else to follow rightly in the sight of God. So what do you think about your pastor or your reverend or your small group leader or your spiritual leader? What you think about them is already revealed to God. Now, here's the catch today. There's one person in the room that seems not to know, and that is yourself. He says that your earnestness might be revealed to you in the sight of God. That is, you have this relationship with your pastor or your spiritual leader. He already knows what it is. God already knows, but who's the last person to know your earnestness for that person? It's probably yourself. So our actions reveal our attitudes towards our pastors. So we have the attitude towards the pastor, we have God understanding it, and the last person on the bus that understands it is ourselves. So the right answer here is that Paul is actually comforted by the response of the Corinthian people to his letter. They get the right answer. They're comforted. We rejoice, and we rejoice that Titus is being that Titus is rejoicing. So Titus goes to the Corinthians or has some sort of interaction with them. His response is joy, and Paul's response, because of Titus's response, is also joy. It reveals the right relationship of the leader. So his spirit is being refreshed by you all. And yes, here's a big teaching point to today, is yes, your job is to refresh the spirit of your spiritual leader. I think that's a good teaching point. So he says, besides our own comfort, we rejoice still more at the joy of Titus, because his spirit has been refreshed by you all. And how was it refreshed? By obedience. It's that you received him with fear and trembling. That is, you had a sober attitude towards his teaching and his ministering. And that is, you finally got the understanding that he is ministering in the sight of God, and your response is also going to be in the sight of God. And in that way, it is your job to refresh the spirit of your spiritual leader by listening to him. And Paul says here at the end, I told Titus you guys were going to do it right, and you did. So today's the charge today. I think the two things is one thing is get on the bus and understand that you have a relationship with your spiritual leader, and the last person that might know what it is in sort of a described way might be yourself. So sort of increase your awareness there. The second big point is that you have a relationship with your pastor or spiritual leader, and that person, your job primarily is to refresh the spirit, or at least one of your jobs is to refresh the spirit of that person. And how could your pastor most be refreshed by you? That is by listening, by obedience, by receiving him and also the teaching with fear and trembling in the sight of God. God sees all of this. It's that we need to sort of get up to speed with this. So today, go and refresh the spirit of your spiritual leader. Thanks for listening.